Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PSRTV. I'm Tom Beatty. I'm here with Chuck Johnson, PJ Losi, and Ian Bushing, and we have a treat for you this evening. We have the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship multi-class racing. This is the first multi-class race here on PSRTV. We have three amazing classes. We are going to run you through. They're in the middle of their drivers meeting right now, and then they're going to jump into a unique qualifying format. The ISRA is what's left of the SCCA league. This is a private league here on iRacing. We are glad to broadcast it here on PSRTV. In fact, qualifying has just started. The three classes. This is a pretty diverse series. It's really something that's unique that I've seen as far as league racing goes. The O'Neill PC Systems GT Championship mixed class. This is race number 5 of 9, and they've got 2 enduro races over the course of the season and 3 classes running. So let's run through those 3 classes. Chuck, welcome to the booth. Good to see you again.
Hey there, Tom, and hello everybody. Yes, we're going to be running the Mazda Cup Series car, and they'll be matching up against the V8, and also chasing them will be the Mustangs. So we have the V8 Supercars, which on this track are going to enjoy a lot of top speed, where they come back on the backstretch there, I believe around turn 9, carrying around turn 10 and 11, the NASCAR 3 and 4. And as they come back to the start-finish line there, I'd say they'll be carrying a great deal of speed in turn 1, which that's when it will get very interesting for both the V8 Supercars and the Mustangs, because most of the turns on the inside area are much flatter and tighter, which these cars don't like a whole lot. They're difficult to get off the exits with, and the Mustangs can be tricky getting into the turns. So the Mazdas will be enjoying a little bit better stability through the infield, but of course be giving up a great deal of speed on the overall run.
So yeah, to make these distinctions that we may be using during the race, the Ford Falcon V8 Supercars are the GT class, what they're calling here at the ISRA GT Championships. The GS class are the Mustangs, and the ST class is the Mazda MX-5. There's some drastic differences in speed, but I think it's three cars that really couldn't be better suited to race each other. And this is the round of round 5 of 9. In this particular series, the GTs will make, or the Fords will make 165 miles an hour down the straightaway. The GSs will make about 140, and the Mazdas, those little guys at 200 horsepower, will make some pretty amazing speed at 120 miles an hour as they head into turn 1.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to test either one of these cars at this track, so I'm not sure exactly. I would imagine that the V8s on the top end will probably have everybody covered. The maneuverability of the Mustang, if these guys have been working on them and keeping them under control, if they can keep that wheel spin down, they may be able to give the V8s a good run for their money in the overall standings.
The V8 Supercar class, those GT cars, are running like I said, the Ford Falcon. That's primarily an Australian-based car. 5-liter 302 Boss engine, 3,000 pounds, 600 horsepower. Those cars are nothing if not twitchy under acceleration. I mean, I've driven these cars before, and they are, you just have to be as delicate as you can with that right foot. Those GS Mustangs, currently I'm trying to race those in the Grand M Series with very limited success, but they're 325 horsepower and only 3,000 pounds, but they are monsters to keep underneath you. Those things are really, even with anti-lock brakes that those cars have, they are very, very much a handful of car. And on the other opposite end of the spectrum, those little Mazdas are very darty, very point and squirty kind of cars. I really enjoy driving those Mazdas. I know that there's going to be some fantastic close racing here at Homestead, Miami on this track. Eric Foss is part of the field. Colin McLean is part of the field. Those guys are at the top of the heap from the standpoint of the Mazda MX-5 driving. Eric Foss, in fact, helped iRacing develop these cars and has really taken them under his wing and is running everybody ragged as they try and keep up with him in this series and out there in the general race servers as well. So underway right now is qualifying, and the way that they're doing that, this is a private qualifying session, unlike what you've seen in the DWC before. They are just now out there running all on top of each other. All the cars are running at the same time on their local machines. Right now they are going to be doing, I believe it's a 3-lap qualifying effort, so they're going to put in one good solid time and then run themselves ragged for the next 2 laps, trying to get themselves bettered by a couple of tenths and try and move up a couple of places on the pole in the grid, because this field is going to be tight. These times have been close for the entire practice session. They were bumping and banging each other. They are really bruised up after a long practice session.
Well, at the moment, for the V8 division, Chris Dameron Jr. is at the top of the pole, and he's at a 116.575. For the Mustang division, Randy Wolfgram is on top at a 128.271. And for the Mazdas, it looks like that Eric Foss is at a 134.869. So obviously there's quite a difference in the overall speed here. So most of the guys back down in the Mustangs and Mazdas can hope that some of the faster cars in the V8s may have some troubles or some issues, and once again raise up a little bit in the overall standings. And it looks like that, let's see here, yes, he's still hanging on to it. Chris Dameron Jr. is still holding on to the overall pole at a 116.575.
So let's talk about the multi-class racing. This is what they're doing is a lot like what you see in real life, the Grand Am series in real life, and the ALMS series and the LMS series over in the over in Europe and such. These are multiple cars, different races going on all at the same time on the same track. We already sort of explained the cars, the GT, the GS, and the ST, but the trick to this is really surviving. The trick is to stay out of the way of the fast guys, and fast guys, the trick to them is to avoid slamming into the back of the slow guys. It is an art form like you would not believe. And I tell you, the first time that I started running multi-class racing, I wet myself when first time I had a DP prototype come zooming past my Mustang, and it is exciting, but it's also, you will sweat yourself to death trying to anticipate, the whole try and stay your line kind of thing. So there's really an art form to it, and we'll probably see it. These guys are some of the best at it, but we will probably see some fast cars running into some slow cars here tonight.
And let me make a couple of corrections here, Tom. Now that I've switched my page off of the practice times, it looks like we have David Sorois at a 116.216 on top with the V8 Supercars. James Mines at a 128.810 is at tops on the Mustangs, and Eric Foss is at the tops with the Mazda at a 134.984.
And that's a good time to start running these guys, and let's talk about some of the personalities in this race series. David Savoy, straight off the Drivers' World Championship. Kevin Savoy, also doing a fantastic job in this series. Chris Dameron Jr. Those are the three guys that are dominant in the GT series. I expect to see those guys without a mistake. I expect to see those guys right at the top of the heap again. Savoy, and Dameron. Andre Micod, Andre Micod, I'll just call him that since there's not another one here, up there in a respectable fourth position. Down in the the GS series, James Mines, his brother is actually racing as well. Donald Mines, the older brother, down there in the 20th spot overall. And I believe, I have not seen them taking the grid yet, but I think they are. There's the grid. And so these guys will be going through a pace lap here. Let me get my cameras all squared away. And so let's run down the field as much as we can here. Let's just run down the top 6 or so in each class. Well, I guess they're doing a pace lap, so we can run down the whole field. David Savoy is on the pole right now with a 116.2. Kevin Savoy, 116.7, so a half a second gap between those two. That's pretty big considering these cars. And then you jump down to Chris Dameron Jr. In third, Andre McLeod in fourth position. Martin Dubé in 5th, Patrick Spence in 6th, Aldo Villamil in 7th, RC Vigas in 8th. This is all still just the V8 Supercar, the GT class. Timothy Stoll in 9th, Matthew Voigt in 10th, and Michael Helmick rounding out the top 11 in the V8 GT class.
We have James Mines in the 12th position, Randy Wolfgram in the 13th, Mike Young in the 14th, Jim McInnes in the 15th, Chuck Chambliss in the 16th, R.C. Rickman in the 17th, Carl Mumbauer in 18th, Tim McLeish in 19th, and Donald Mines in 20th rounds out the Mustangs.
And bringing up the rear in the ST MX-5 cars, Eric Foss is, of course, once again on pole. He has won 2 races this season. We fully expect him to do very well here, but Colin McLean in 2nd position in that MX-5 class will probably have something to say about that. Daniel Gralty is in 3rd position. 4th is Mike Kelly. Alex Ulary, sorry. I don't know why I got a blank all of a sudden for that. Alex Ulary is next in line. Daniel Quararni, and now I practiced that name too, dadgummit. Ryan Korn is next in line in 27th. Michael Wierick in 28th. Gary Miller in 29th. Jerry Knitter in 30th. Sean Jury in 31st. Series veteran, series elder statesman Dean Ayer in 32nd. And Kim Aiken bringing up the rear in 33rd.
As the field is making the way onto the backstretch here, it looks like that everyone has made it through the pace lap nice and clean, and the field is starting to close up, and we should be coming to a start here momentarily, guys.
Actually, looks like there's a Mustang in the back of the field too. I wonder what happened to Dwight Plesh. Dwight Plesh, one of the Mustang drivers, in the showing in 34th position, is actually on the grid in 34th position. So he's going to have his work cut out for him to cut all the way up through the Mazda field. As the field now behind the pace car.
Let's say what probably happened to him is he turned a lap that, off track or caused an incident, so he never got a clean run in.
All right, so the pace car drops off, and it looks like they're going to get the green flag here. And let's see David Sawa getting a tailgate full of Chris Darmon Jr. as they head into turn 1, and this is where there could be a huge mess. Let's watch and see. It looks like all the V8 Supercars get through, all the GT class cars get through.
And looks like everybody at the back of the field is also making it through their clean there, Tom.
Yeah, looking back at the Mustangs, I see the Mustangs getting through there, and now the Mazdas, yes, and in fact, Eric Foss is beginning to take down some of the Mustangs in his Mazda MX-5. That'll make a big difference when he gets out there, when he gets back out there on the long straightaway. So back up to the leaders. David Serwa in the lead in that white, purple, and black Ford number 32. Kevin Serwa right behind him, it looks like. Actually, that might be Chris Cameron. No, that's Kevin. As those two start to actually break away from the field. And now keep in mind that all of these 10 top cars, these guys are very much in need of aerodynamic drafting. So you will see, especially when we jump back and take a look at the MX-5 cars, those Mazdas you will see them nose to tail the entire race, because drafting is critical to those guys to get good times. And so we are now finished lap number 1 of 44. Okay, let's jump back to car number 12, Randy Wolfgram. There's an incident with the leaders in the Mustang class, the GS class, James Mines and Randy Wolfgram, headed into turn 1. It looks like both of those guys get shoved off, and the field streams by.
Looks like
Randy
RC
Wolfram.
Rigdon. Looks like RC Rigdon had to go wide there into the sand also.
Yep, Randy Wolfgram hails from San Jose, California, works at Cisco Systems. His wife, Julie, and 5-year-old daughter, Azia, probably watching tonight. Props to them.
Looks like that Wolfram is pulling it over here to the side of the track, and he has exited at least to the pits.
Yep, and that might be the end of Randy Wolfgram, who was 6th in the points headed into this race, and actually was looking really good, was fastest all the entire time during the practice session. Only once Chuck Chambliss came in was when he actually went to 2nd place, I believe. So let's take a look around.
David Royce is still holding over and being pressured heavily now by Kevin Savoy for that first spot. They cleared a little bit of a gap there now.
I tell you what, Mr. Director, let's jump back and take a look at Eric Foss and Colin McLean. Eric Foss, like we said, one of the leaders in the development of this MX-5 car. He's car number 26, currently in 21st position. But take a look at these MX-5 cars going nose to tail, side to side, door to door. They are just searching for each other's draft, and that's how you survive in this series. Currently being shown in the lead is that green and white, that neon green car of Eric Foss. Oh, I take that back. I apologize. I was looking at the wrong scoring screen. My bad. So Colin McLean in that blue and white stripe car. Looks like David Coulthard's helmet.
Mike Kelly and who is that there? David Grotley are going at it back here in the MX-5s. They are also being followed closely by Eric Foss there. They're all over each other these last couple of turns here, and they have a lot of company right behind them. Very competitive back here in the MX-5 division.
Daniel Gralty is placed on the podium in the last the previous 4 races. 3 of the previous 4 races, finishing 2nd at Laguna Seca, and actually won the Watkins Glen Enduro race. As we jump on board with Ryan Corns, currently in 27th position, actually chasing Eric Foss down that back straightaway.
And Davis Royce in the V8, also leading overall right now, is starting to come up heavily on a lot of MX-5 traffic back here at the back.
Right, and here we go. Let's jump on board David Serwa if we can, Mr. Director. Number 32, the first place car, as he starts to overtake a lot of these MX-5 cars. And you can see, just look at the difference in speed just as they head down into turn 1. But these MX-5 cars have got some good grip that David's going to have to struggle for. Look at him dart. Oh, man, the guys are just, this is great racing.
He's going to be working by the Mustang there. He's right on the bumper of Dwight Flesh there in the Mustang. Whoa, gets crossed up a little bit. Nice 3 wide through the middle. David's definitely on the mission, guys.
All right, let's jump back to take a look at the GS class. It looks like James Mines is out in the lead from Mike Young by a fairly healthy margin. That's a good 2.5 seconds. Looks like James is in that Red Bull liveried machine heading into turn 1 and now into turn 2. Here's an interesting little part of the track here between turn 3 and turn 4. It's an interesting elevation change, but it's kind of a fake one really. A little dive down right there. And then comes back up into turn 4 and turn 5 and down this short chute of a straightaway down to turn 6, which is a really good passing point. 1 of 3 on this track. This turn 6, and then coming up at turn 8 is another one. I just don't think Mike Young's going to have it in him for James so far this race. He's going to have to wait for a mistake from James.
And once again, I'm watching the V8s up here, guys. Patrick Spence and RC Vigas are starting to battle with each other pretty heavily, and they are chasing Aldo Villamil,
Oh, and it looks like, there's some bumping and banging going on between the 22 and the 1 car. Yeah, that's Patrick Spence and R.C. Vigas.
Yeah, I'm not sure that RC didn't lose a little bit of traction there, and Patrick's ready to go. And they may have made a slight bit of contact there. Both of them have been able to keep hold of it and keep coming.
Those guys are fighting for points championships. Those guys are just within a couple of points, 4 points of each other, between 9th and 10th. In the GT Championship. They are racing for iRacing credits donated by O'Neill PC Systems. That's what their prizes are at the end of this fantastic 9-race season at ISRA GT Championship. Go check out the ISRA League website at israleague.com or at a link to it at o'neillpcsystems.com. Send an email to Tim over there and tell him we said hello.
Kevin Savoy is starting to put a lot of pressure on Chris Dameron up here. That would be for 2 and 3 overall on the V8s. Boy, they're working. Oh, man.
That's car number 31 in the front there. That's Chris Dameron, and that gray Exodus car right behind him is that Sterile Garda, Kevin Savoy, number 33. And they're coming up on a passing spot right here into turn 6.
And just behind those two, hoping that they kind of, work on each other to slow them up, is Andre McCall coming up in 4th position in the V8s.
They have done a great job of custom paint schemes in this series, that's for sure, in this league. Wearing that green and white, traditional Canadian colors. Car number 37.
Give a quick top 5 of each division here. We have David Royce in 1st in the V8s, followed by Chris Dameron Jr., Kevin Savoy, Andre McCall, and Aldo Villamil. And that's the top 5 of the V8s. James Maines is running the 1st position with the Mustangs, followed by Mike Young, Chuck Chambliss, Jim McInnes, and Tim McLeish. Looking back to the Mazdas, you've got Colin McLean leading the pack right now, followed by Eric Foss, Mike Kelly, Daniel Grotley, and Alex Ulrich.
So, actually, it's not a real big surprise here at the top of the V8 Supercars. Kevin Savoy, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, David Savoy and Chris Dameron Jr., sorry about that, all of these guys have pretty much done their fair share of dominating the entire season. Kevin has won the Laguna Seca race, the first race of the season, finished 3rd in Phillip Island, the 2nd race, and 2nd at Road Atlanta. David Savoy finished 2nd in Laguna Seca, won Phillip Island, won Road Atlanta, and finished 3rd in Watkins Glen. So that would certainly explain why he's up at the top of the points in the GT class at the ISRA GT Championship.
Well, all I can say right now is I wish the broadcast could have 5 or 6 different cameras, because there's absolutely racing everywhere on this track, and there's no way we can cover it all. And I must say that we've got to give a shout out to everyone so far, because there has been a lot of overtaking, a lot of close racing, and predominantly this has been a very clean event so far. Just a few offs here and there. What are we looking at here? I believe we have one retiree from this event out of 36 cars so far, and that's a pretty good average.
And it's because I opened my mouth. Randy, I was reading bios today doing my research for this event, and Randy Wolfgram works at Cisco Systems, which is where I work during the day. And once I started opening my mouth about him, off he went. So my apologies to Randy. I'm sure I'll get an instant message from him tomorrow in the office, or an angry email from his wife, Julie. But congrats to Randy for doing so well during practice and actually getting into this race. He's fairly new to sim racing all in all, but he's the first one out this evening. But good shout out to him, and congratulations. We'll see you next race.
I'll tell you, a nice hot pocket.
Well, let's stay with Daniel Gralty and Alex Ulleri. Alex Ulleri, one of the founders of this series, this league with PJ Losi. And we might even bring PJ in here to maybe tell us a little bit about how this got started.
Alex just went off there, I believe, coming through 6 and 7. Oh, and he's, boy, oh boy, he got a close call there. Yeah, he's coming back on track here, and there's there's someone going around him. Who was that? That would have been Andre McCall running in fourth. Had to take some evasive action through the grass there.
So while Alex gets his mojo back underneath him in his Trojan Condoms liveried car, let's bring PJ Losi into the booth. PJ, welcome aboard. How are things going in the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship this season so far?
Thanks, guys.
So how did you guys get the league started? Where did it start? So I know it's what remains of, or it's the rebuilt version of the SCCA league. Is that right?
Yeah, we were formerly with the SCCA and went our separate ways. Just started this up for basically the first season here, known as the ISRA, or the International Sim Racing Association.
And so how did, where did the idea come? Oh, well, wait a minute. We got to jump away from that. Kevin Savoy getting beat up by Andre McCall. Kevin just took second place from, I'm sorry, that was Chris Dameron Jr., formerly in third place now, formerly in second, now in third, but decided he was going to give Kevin a little piece of his front bumper to carry around. If we can take a look at that on instant replay.
And now Andre McCall has worked right up to those two, and that was the break he's been looking for. And if he can just get in the draft here, he's in a good position to make something happen soon.
Exactly. So while we were talking to PJ, it looked like Kevin Savoy Savoy, I'll get it right, I swear, took over second place from Chris Dameron, and as they looked like they were headed into turn number 8. That may have been 6. I don't know. I came up late. Chris Dameron may have just missed his braking point enough, or Kevin broke a little early out, and Kevin goes off. Kevin goes off in turn 1, and Dameron takes the position back.
And that does move McCall up a position, and he should be in third if he makes it back around in the scoring adjust. Nice, nice. See, that patience is paying off for him there, guys.
So PJ, tell us how you guys chose these cars. Where did is it a vote amongst the drivers, or is you guys discussing the forums and come up with it, or is it here are the cars, you guys pick one?
What we did is we actually shot some ideas around the forums to try to get the members, what they wanted to do. And then what we did is we did a couple practice sessions here and there with different cars, and basically these three just kind of gave the best mixture of difference in speed, controllability differences, and it was just basically the most fun during the practice sessions.
Did you go into it wanting to do 3 cars from the get-go?
We actually started with 2. But then with the Miata's release, we thought it'd be fun to throw that one in and see how it went.
Well, it was certainly a success. So let's take a look. It looks like now we have a change in the lead of the ST class. It looks like Eric Foss. Yes, Eric Foss is now ahead of Colin McLean. As they now draft each other, it looks like McLean's going to have none of it. Is going to try and take that right back again. These guys have been nose to tail pretty much the entire season from what I've seen so far. Currently, Eric Foss with 2 wins still only stands 5th in the points because he's only raced 2 races. But, it's either win or not show up. So I guess it's a wow. And that was number 3. That was the Colin McLean cars. They headed into that last turn, left black streaks big time. So he is pushing that car hard to stay now with Eric Foss, who's in the lead. As we head into lap 11 of 44. But like I was saying, Colin McLean is now a points leader in ST. Only 2 points back is Daniel Gralty. Gary Miller, who is actually not Gary Miller's actually here, but he looks like he is in 8th place in the ST class right now. But like I said, Eric Foss with 2 show-ups and 2 wins is fighting to get another one.
I tell you, I'm watching the V8s and the Mustangs as they're going through traffic here, and especially on the infield sections. It looks like that they're starting to have a little bit more difficult time with the braking zones, and they're manipulating the traffic. I'm starting to wonder about the tires on these. We're working, looks like lap 11 of 44 now. I do have a feeling that some of these guys are starting to feel a little bit issues with the tires, and will be looking for a pit stop coming up here soon.
I think it's just a mandatory pit stop sometime during the race.
You know, some of these guys, it wouldn't surprise me a bit that they would have the setup situation going, that they could probably not have to worry as much about the tires per se, and maybe schedule a good pit stop whenever they feel like it. But some other guys, they've been slinging around and doing a lot of braking and a lot of hard exiting. They may need some tires coming up soon.
Well, let's talk about the V8 Supercars are an interesting beast around this track. During practice, what they were doing was some of the cars were actually having to slow down for the oval turns, the NASCAR 3 and 4, which is turn 9 and 10 on this track. Some of those cars were having to lift through that, but the cars that weren't were really driving that front right tire deep down into that pavement, and those guys weren't really able to do the long stretches that some of the competitors were during practice this afternoon, or 2 hours ago. So, I think it could be that those guys that, we may have to just see where these guys go. They could push those cars, gain a little extra speed by keeping their foot in it, heading into this turn, actually, that David Serrois, the leader, is headed into now. But they could really, really do some damage to that front right tire.
I just noticed that Andre McCod was getting a heavy draft off of Chris Dameron there that last lap into turn 1, and he did that very thing. That right front pushed out on him, and he took a trip through the sand. And let me check to see his scoring now.
Well, it's all a matter of setup for these guys too. I mean, some of these cars are set up to take that flat out, and some are not. So I even heard some people using their Road Atlanta setup from last week, and some of the other guys are using the flat default setup. So
it looks like it took Andre all the way back to 7th from 3rd place there. So, after getting a break, he kind of turned around and gave it back to whoever he passed there, and plus a few more.
So we're taking a look at Daniel Quaroni. I am going to check that. Hang on just a minute. That's it. Quaroni. Thank you very much. I knew I had it written down somewhere. With the elder statesman, Dean Ayer, running in the MX-5 class, currently in 31st and 32nd. Dean up in 31st, and Daniel in 32nd. Dean in that black and white car, and looks like Dean is in the bright red and black car.
And Carl Mumbauer is coming up to visit him there in that nice purple Mustang behind him.
Sounds like we have word that there's a spin from let's see, Timothy Stahl in the V8 Supercar class. That's the number 4 car running in 10th position. Looks like he's back running again. Apologies if we are not keeping the pictures up with our voice. There's so much action going on. This is the first multi-class race for PSRTV, so there's a learning curve for us. But we're jumping around, and the TV's jumping around, so we apologize if we're not always talking about what you are seeing, but I'm sure the director is frantically trying to get caught up to what he's hearing us say.
Yeah, it looks like Timothy was accelerating out of 3 there, in between 3 and 4. And as it swings out there out of 3, the car will kind of kick off camber to the right. and it looks like he did that very thing and just lost traction and shot him pretty much nose first into the tire barrier there. Actually, overall, it looked like a lot of light contact considering the area there, and he is continuing, and he is now showing in the the 11th position, so he would be last in the V8 class, 11th overall.
It looks like we have a pass for position now. The 4th and 5th, Aldo Villamil actually just got passed by Patrick Spence. Yeah, the number 1 car, Patrick Spence, just passed the number 9, Aldo Villamil, as they were heading down the straightaway, start-finish straightaway. Now they're into turn 3. Looks like Patrick is actually on a tear. Patrick is in 9th position, fighting with a couple of people. Actually, Timothy Stahl is one of the ones he's fighting with for points position in this series. Patrick not having a good season so far, shown up 3 times, has not 3 of the 4 races that they've had, and has not had a top 5 yet. So he is trying to work his way forward, actually in 4th place currently. About 11 seconds back from Kevin Savoy. Take another minute to give a shout out to Tim at O'Neill PC Systems for helping out with the ISRA GT Championship. Go check it out at o'neillpcsystems.com or the league website at israleague.com. And thanks to all the guys at PSRTV for putting this on. We enjoy doing it. So real quick, let's run through the top 5 in each class. David Savoy still on top, the lead car for the entire event and the lead car in his class. About 8 seconds ahead of second place, Chris Damron Jr. Kevin Savoy in 3rd, about 11 seconds back from the leader. Patrick Spence is in 4th place now after just passing 5th place. Aldo Villamil. The top 5 in the Mustang class, James Mines, Mike Young, Chuck Chambliss, and Jim McInnes, all still running in the top 5 of the GS class. Top 5 of the ST class, Eric Foss, Colin McLean, Daniel Gralty, Mike Kelly, and Mitchell Weirick, all in that. Let's go back and take a look at that, actually, Mr. Director. If you want to take a look, let's spend a little more time at the MX-5 Cup. These guys are really some of the tightest racing on the track. And actually, it looks like Colin may have just gone past. No, he was a back marker. I apologize. I thought that was a close fight, but that was actually a back marker. It was Colin going past. So we're actually with okay. So we're back with the Dean Iyer Quironi fight, which is actually probably the tightest one on the track. Yeah, it looks like Daniel just took. Yeah, Daniel did just get around Dean there as they were coming out of turn 7. It's a very, very clean pass. Just outbraked him into 6 and took him on the 7 and down the straightaway towards 8. And now they're headed out onto the oval section. So let's jump back up to the V8 Supercar class. It looks like Andre. Is that Andre and RC? No, that's Andre and Aldo. Aldo seems to be dropping back. He was up as high as 3rd at one point. Aldo now dropping back, and it looks like he's going to lose 5th place to Andre McCard. And Patrick Spence is now up into 3rd. Yeah, so Patrick Spence got around Andre this time and is now up to 3rd position. He is on a tear and he's got his eyes peeled on, eyes now fixed on Chris Damron Jr., only about 3 seconds ahead of him. So we need to keep an eye on Patrick Spence right now as he starts to weave his way through. Oh, there's that fight with Dean Ayers. He makes quick work of that as he tries to run down Chris Damron Jr. But right behind him, Aldo and Andre are still fighting it out. Aldo seems to be dropping back in that red, blue, and yellow unsponsored car, but still very beautiful.
Oh, wow. I'm watching a mix-up here between Savoy and who was that? Cameron, yes, Dameron Jr., man. They split the Mustang of John Rossetto's. Wow, they were both just sideways, heavy-duty coming out of, I guess that was turn 7 there. And those two are going after, what are they in? Savoy is showing in P8 right now. And Dameron Jr., he was showing in P5, so he may have fallen back some here.
So we are on board with Chris Damron Jr. as he chases down Kevin Savoy, heading down into 3, 4, 5, now up towards 6. This is another good passing zone as they go around that yellow and black MX-5 car of Sean Jury. Oh, and he sticks his nose down in there. He is going to make this fun for us to watch. Chris Damron tight underneath the bumper of Kevin Savoy. And this is a fight for points in the GT class. Chris Damron Jr. currently in second. Kevin Savoy is in third.
It seems like both of these drivers like to get on that gas early at the apex and sling these rear ends off. And if you can maintain it and keep it under you, it can be pretty quick in these cars.
And so Chris Damron is actually pitted. He pitted on lap 20. Not sure if Kevin Savoy has pitted yet. Let's see if we can hear from our in-race reporter.
Yeah, we have Mustangs and MX-5s.
Yeah, so we've got pitting all over the place.
Stops.
Right, so we are on lap 23 of 44, so we're pretty much at the halfway point. We are seeing all sorts of guys in the pit. Martin Dubé, Chris Damron, we've already said. It looks like Aldo Villamil is in.
Patrick Spence
is in.
Off.
I heard Timothy Stahl just say he was coming in.
And RC Vegas is coming up on Villamil and Spence after they come out of the pits there. So he's looking to hopefully make up some time, but it already looks like these guys may have taken some tires and they may be paying off because they took off in that corner very well.
We need to stay with that fight, Mr. Director. It looks like Damron is still right underneath Savoy's rear bumper as they get back out onto the oval and head down into turn number 9.
Our leader is still out on the track. It doesn't look like he has pitted yet, has he?
At 23 seconds out there in front of Andre, I am not sure. Andre is now in the pit, yes. So it looks like David Savoy, our leader, has not yet pitted.
And he's working into turn 8 here, heading toward 9 soon, and be coming back around the oval part of the Homestead here.
So Savoy able to make his tires last just a little bit longer. Savoy already with 2 race wins this season, 4 top 5s, and 3 poles. So David Savoy is no slouch. He's a big name in the Pro Series, going to be a DWC driver next year for sure.
And he is entering pit road now.
Just so you know, these V8 Supercars are the same cars they are running in the Pro Series this season. The Pro Series is the feeder series for the DWC. The first 30 of the DWC World Driving Champions are already in, but the next 20 are being pulled up from the Pro Series right out of these cars. So David Savoy definitely has the practice that it takes.
Andre back here in second. Patrick's in the pits over there. I'd say he's probably done by now. And Andre's been in heavy traffic. Mustangs, MX-5s in every direction. And he's been trying to do everything he could to get back around here and make up some time on Patrick. But I don't know if he's going to close up much at this point.
There's something to be said about the strategy that you can't have during sim racing. You don't have a group of people down on the pit wall being able to say, all right, well, if you pit now, we'll pit for 32 seconds, and then you'll come out and you'll have space. Or you'll pit for 25 seconds, and we'll come out into clear traffic. That's one of the things that sim racing has. Oh, we got an off in turn one. It's one of the, I'm not sure who it is. It looks like McCloud. Yes, it's McCloud off in turn one. Andre just looks like he came in just a little hot into turn one, spun it around, and went right into the kitty litter.
We got more in front of him here, guys. It looks like R.C. Rigdon has been caught up, and let me check here and see who he had contact with.
It looked like a couple of Mustangs there, a couple of banged up Mustangs.
Looks like R.C. did it all by himself. He lost.
Looks like Rigdon.
And yeah, he did it. He went on the inside and caught the inside wall. And coming up behind him here, looks like Chuck Chambliss went for a ride off of...
Yeah, so that was R.C. Rigdon. R.C. Rigdon already with a bashed up car as he headed out of 3 down into 4. Looks like he just lost it into 4, going into 5, came around, bang, hit the wall. And, and some guys got piled up behind him. That's what it was. That's what we were missing.
Yeah, it was R.C. Vigas getting in. It looked like Chuck Chambliss got a little bit slippery coming through, and R.C. Vigas got him right in the bumper and tossed him sideways in front and punched him in the door. And I do believe that they both continued on afterward. Yes, they did. So
nobody says this isn't an RC race because we've got 2 RCs in this race. We've got R.C. Vigas and we got R.C. Rigdon.
It's kind of
so
like
now that we've run through
race.
Exactly. Well, you had too many chucks and you got to start putting them on drills.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad, huh?
So let's run, now that we've cycled through the pit stops, let's take a look here, Chuck, at the top 5 from each of these classes. David Serrois still out in front of the V8 Super GT class. Kevin Savoy in second place, Chris Damron Jr. in third, Patrick Spence in fourth, and Aldo Villamil after a tough time. You know, what I think Aldo had was a problem is he was running his tires out earlier just before the pit stop, and that's why we saw him dropping back into the hands of Patrick Spence and RC earlier. So the top 5 of the Mustang GS class, Mike Young in the lead, Jim McInnes in second, Chuck Chambliss, our points leader, in third, Tim McLeish in fourth, and James Mines, who may have already been a pit stop because he was in the lead a little while ago. Apologize to our listeners for not being able to really go back and find out what happened here. But James was in the lead for the Mustang GS class for the longest time, and now Mike Young is up there. So I wonder if their pit stops have not cycled through yet. But jumping down to the ST class in the Mazda MX-5 cars, Eric Foss still way out in the lead ahead of Colin McLean. Who's actually, Colin McLean is now in the pits as I take a look down the click through these guys as I try and pronounce their names. Daniel Gralty, he's actually in the pits as well in second, third position in these cars. Mike Kelly in fourth, and Carolina boy Mitchell Weirick is down in 5th place in the ST class.
And so far, once again, this has been a relatively clean race. We've seen some offs, we've seen some contact. But currently we have 3 drivers that have retired from the event. Randy Wolfgram, Donald Mines, and Jerry Knitter. 2 of those drivers would be from the Mustang class, and one of them is from the Mazda class. So far it looks like all the V8 Supercars are still on the track.
Looks like, let's jump up to the second place battle. Car number 33 and 31, after the pit stops, they are right back at it again. Looks like Kevin and Chris right now again in the jet wash of Kevin Savoy as they head into turn number 8 and get back up onto the oval section here at Homestead as they go past the beat-up car of R.C. Rigdon. That white car just barely hanging on. And so these guys are really going at it. And there's a lot of drafting here that Chris is going to try and get from Kevin as they go around that Mike Young car of the leader of the Mustang class. Oh, sorry, that was the James Mines car. Pardon me.
If those two could hook up together, they are drawn to, it looks like, 1.8 seconds gap to the leader now. If they could just maintain each other and do some drafting down that long section, it wouldn't be very long where they could probably pull up on Sir Royce in a couple of laps if they can work this traffic here easily.
Kevin Savoy, 24 years old, from Canada. So, you know, his idol is Travis Pastrana. For some reason hates F1. I'm not sure why that is, but Chris Damron, oh my goodness, Chris Damron Jr. tries to get inside Kevin Savoy, and they touch, and gracious sakes alive, it looks like Kevin Savoy is going to come up short on that. Chris Damron is going to take over second position. Oh my goodness gracious, just as we were watching that fight, and I was getting ready to say all kinds of great things about Kevin Savoy, he gets bumped off again.
Yeah,
we'll call that the Wolfgram effect.
That was right in front of Chuck Chambliss there, who's running third in the Mustang class. So I'm sure he's wide awake now.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Chris Damron just tried to tuck himself in underneath there as he came off 6 into 7 and down towards 8. And it looks like Damron just kind of bumped doors with Kevin Savoy, and Kevin Savoy goes around. Chris Damron goes a little sideways but rescues it. And now Kevin Savoy's got 5 seconds to make up.
Yeah, looking at it there, it looks like John Rosettos. He's in 19th overall, and he may be in last or next to last. Technically, he is next to last in the running order of cars on the track in the Mustang class, but that spin was right directly in front of him, and he had to slow up and make some decisions there. And once again, I'd say that him and Chambliss are pretty wide-eyed the rest of this lap.
You betcha. So as we take a look now at the James Mine Tim McLeish battle, as they head down into turn number 6, it looks like there's nose to tail as well. A couple of little beat up back bumpers on those guys. One quick thing that we've not even mentioned, Chris Damron Jr. Is running in an extraordinary way. Chris Damron Jr., as we were watching that, is actually deaf. So he's unable to hear the cars around him. I don't know how he does it, but it's, he's very successful in this series, and runs with a challenge that we all don't have. So that was one quick thing about Chris Damron Jr. I wanted to point out during that fight as we still take a look at the James Mines Tim McLeish battle. James Mines actually looks like James has gotten around Tim, and they will reset when they come around to the start-finish straightaway. But James was in the leads of this Mustang GS class for a lot of this race, and we're not sure what happened.
Looks like we're going to have a lead change in the Mazda Class 2 between Colin McLean and Mike Kelly. Colin McLean was working over Mike Kelly pretty heavily on the infield section there. And Mike Kelly is drawing right up to the back of McLean, though. He isn't willing to let it go easy. But McLean got a good run coming off of 8 and 9 there, and was able to pull out ahead of Kelly. But Kelly, again, is right on his bumper heading into turn 1 here. We have a new leader in the Mazda class.
And so that must have been something during the pit stop exchange. So Mike Kelly now taking over. Mike Kelly also was in the Oval Series World Drivers Championship, the NASCAR iRacing Driving World Championship Series. Made a couple of appearances there. So he certainly knows his way around this track, or at least part of this track.
Looks like McLean pulled him pretty good coming out of that turn, heading through the short straight there between, I guess that is between 5 and 6. Yeah, they're going through 6 and 7 now.
McLean, 37 years old, out of Scotland, now living in Atlanta, Georgia since 1997. He's actually had a real race car for the longest time. He's actually sold it and is now iRacing pretty much full time.
Well, back up front of the field, and the leader for the V8 Supercars, David Sorois, Looks like he has definitely pulled out ahead a little bit on Chris Dameron and Kevin Savoy. Chris Dameron is -3 seconds now, and Savoy is -7. So while we were watching out of the class, those somebody might have done something somewhere, because they were a whole lot closer to each other.
That was Chris Dameron actually banging into Kevin Savoy just a minute ago. So that set Kevin back quite a bit in that. So we're actually now waiting for Patrick Spence, who's 34 seconds back, who was up in third position just a little while ago before the pit stops.
And
so
once
Patrick
again,
Spence now has lost a lot of time in traffic.
Once again, as he did a lot before, Mike Kelly pretty much pushes Colin McLean down into turn 1, but McLean holds him off and is still holding court in the Mazda division, with Mike Young holding over Jim McInnes in the Mustangs.
So as we search around for something to take a look at and call on, we're looking for some fights in the field. Our director is hunting around and find us something to look at. We'll remind you again, you are watching round 5 of 9 in the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship race. This is a three-class, multi-class racing series that is running 9 races. Their next race is coming up is at Barber Motorsports Park, Spa. Well, assuming that will be released by then, so that's probably a floating schedule point for them. And the Chuck Chambliss, our points leader. Oh, and that is heavy damage. Chuck Chambliss, the number 35 car, running in 14th, but even more, running in 3rd place in his class. He has done some damage. That car is smoking. Look at that Alabama car. He is banged up. That is going to be his day.
Looks like Martin Dubé also is the one. He looks like Chuck spun it, or I'm not sure if he had contact before he spun there, or if he just kind of got it wide out in the grass. Yeah, he did it all by himself, and then Dubé came along and had nowhere to go, caught him in the door, and both of those got heavy damage.
Yeah, you know what it was? It looked like Chambliss lost it on the inside bump of the of turn 1, went bouncing out there, lost a little bit of control, sort of drifted back out there again, and that was the end of that. Looks like he collected the Snap-on Tools car. Who was that?
Dubé. Martin Dubé.
Martin Dubé, gotcha. Oh, and that is bad luck for the points leader, Chuck Chambliss. Chuck Chambliss already was well off in the distance. 8 points ahead of Mike Young.
He's still on the track. He's smoking heavily and trying to limp it around.
He's spraying for bugs out there.
Pick up a position or two, but there hadn't really been anybody ahead of him. It doesn't look like it's fallen out. So,
well, let's
don't
bring
think
in.
That engine's going to last long either.
Let's bring in PJ. PJ, is there any sort of rules in your rules booklet about these? Because I know there was some flame wars on the forums at iRacing.com about damaged cars staying out there. Is there anything in your rule book that prevents them from doing that?
The biggest thing we ask is if you can't keep up the speed, to just try to get it back to the pits. If it's undrivable, just pull it off to the side and call it good.
Yeah, it looks like he's going down the back stretch here, holding it down on the apron, and yes, he is.
Yeah, jump up to your live view there, Chuck. He's already in the pits. Jump up to your live view. So we got 10 laps to go here, 34 of 44 in. David Savoy still out in front, 5.7 seconds in front of Chris Dameron Jr., with the contact of him and Kevin Savoy is now in 3rd place, 8 seconds, 3 seconds back from Chris Dameron. Patrick Spence back up to 4th, Andre McCaud in 5th. The remaining bunch of these guys, Aldo, RC, Matthew, Timothy, Martin, and Michael, round out the V8 Supercar GT class. In the GS class with the Ford Mustangs, Mike Young, actually, I believe Mike Young is in 2nd place in the points, so he is going to actually overtake Chuck Chambliss in this race. So take a look at the point standings at ISRALeague.com. Looks like Mike Young will take over the lead. Jim McInnes in 2nd. James Mines, who was leading this class for so long early on, is in 3rd. Tim McLeish is in 4th, and Chuck Chambliss, the points leader, is out, currently shown in 4th position. and,
RC
and some of the guys
Vegas
behind
in
him.
RC Vegas in the 7th position in the V8 had another off there going into turn 1, and it looked like it was actually a pretty lazy one. Like he just didn't have the braking that he needed once he got there. But he's able to continue.
So in the final ST class, it looks like Colin McLean, actually our points leader in the ST class standings as well, is in first place. Mike Kelly is in second. Eric Foss is in third, and we totally planned on him dominating this race. Took pole fairly easily, but I must have run into some traffic a little later on. Daniel Gralty.
Yep, Carl Mumbayer went off here coming into turn 1. He's running the Mustang, and it looks like he is in 16th position, or was. And he tried to come back onto the track and had a lot of oncoming cars, and he went ahead and pulled it off track there to give them some room. So he is back moving again, but he's had a couple issues.
I think some of these guys should work for the Secret Service. They're willing to just dive themselves into the tires to let the leaders by. So Mitchell Rerick is in is in fifth, rounds out the top 5 of the ST class. Alex Euleri, series guru, lead guru, is in 6th place, 7 laps down with these Mustangs.
This turn 1 is starting to work on these cars now, because Daniel Coroni in the Mazda just had a very slight off. It looks like he could use some tires or a little bit of braking.
Well, think about that for a minute. Think about what we were talking about early on in the race. Is these cars, some of these cars have to lift, or some of these cars are really driving that hard, driving those long right-hand turns, those bank turns of 9 and 10 really hard. By the time they get around to turn 1, that tire is cooked. So, I can certainly see how turn 1 and turn 2 can be super tricky after, an entire half a lap of driving that front right tire, where these cars are not really meant for oval racing, into the pavement and heating it up. So that I can certainly see where there would be an issue with that.
Well, Mike Kelly, who was pressuring Colin McLean there for first place, and the Mazdas just came in and made look like a splash and go. That gives Eric Foss up to the 2nd position so far. I had to wait till scoring comes through. But looks like that Mike Kelly is like he stayed long enough to get in tires, so he just must have went for a splash.
Well, it seems to me like Mike Kelly is running some sort of strategy that may do pretty well for him. Maybe sort of short-filled fuel strategy, because he's currently run 3 races, only had 1 other top 5, and currently sits 13th in the points. So he stands to actually make up quite a bit of ground on the rest of the field. Other people that are in this race, like Knitter and Jury and Corns and such. So expect him to move up in the standings.
Well, McLean or Eric Foss, either one, don't have anyone nearby pressuring them for their class position. So they're able to, at the moment, pay a lot of attention to oncoming traffic in the Mustangs and the V8s, and hopefully make some good choices and not pressure everything so much, and maybe allow themselves a little bit more room. I'm sure that really is easing Colin McLean's laps here.
It looks like we have a pretty good fight here between Patrick Spence and Andre McCaud for 4th position. Car number 1 and car number 37th.
Eric Foss just went around coming in. Eric Foss just went around coming through turn 1, 2 there, and he has regained, but he just looped it and took off again. So that moves him a little bit back closer to, who was that there? Mike Kelly, yes.
So real quick, we apologize. We're having some technical difficulties. We are going to get the picture right back up here as soon as we can, hopefully before the end of the race. iRacing, our little broadcast server, decided to take a little break from its broadcast duties. So right now, we will do a radio broadcast for you right up until the end here. So we were talking about how great this service was, and it decided to go ahead and Wolfgram itself. The leader now is David Sirois. Chris Damron Jr. is in second. Kevin Savoy is in third. Those guys are about 10 seconds apart, 5 seconds back to second and 10 seconds back to third. So there's a pretty good gap there. Patrick Spence is in fourth. The leaders of the Mustang class, Mike Young, Jim McInnes, and Jim Mines. I'm sorry. Mike Young, Jim McInnes, and James Mines. Tim McLeish is in fourth position in the Mustangs, and Carl Mumbauer up to fifth now. Looks like the attrition is beginning to take these guys. Mumbauer really just barely limping it around in that little purple car, Bastion on both ends.
Well, Kiss Dameron Jr. is having to weave and dodge some traffic back here. He is following close behind there. He worked to the inside of him, Matthew Voigt. Boy, oh boy, he was trying to make something happen and just didn't have anywhere to go there for about 3 turns.
And so now the leaders in the MX-5 Cup in the ST class, Colin McLean still out in the lead. Eric Foss actually a pretty good distance back in second place now. Daniel Gralty in third, Mike Kelly in fourth. So those guys are pretty well spread out now, as we are hearing that we may be getting our server back up in just a second. So sit tight. We'll be right with you. Once again, you are watching round 5 of 9, the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship, and we are back on the air. Thank you very much, Ian. You are doing fabulous. Go check out O'Neill PC Systems at o'neillpcsystems.com or the league website. When this race is over, check out where your favorite driver finished. If you have one, I'm sure I may have suggested 1 or 2 along the way, at israleague.com. We are running lap 33 of 44.
Dean Ayer just made a fantastic pass in turn 1 over Gary Miller in the Mazdas back here. He drafted him in and just leaned right against the inside of that quarter panel, but never touched him and just slid right by. That was a slick move.
Sorry, check that. We're on lap 41. I was looking at a Mazda when I was looking down at the lap counter. So the Mazdas are on lap 33, but David Sirwa is out there in the lead, getting ready to cross the start-finish stripe. Lap number 41 is in the books, and 42 is underway. This race has been going on for an hour and 21 minutes. That's including our practice session and qualifying earlier. And we have had a great time. There has been more action than we've been able to call here, Chuck.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got to watch some great racing. And like I said, the only way we could do any better is if PSRTV had 9 screens up at once and just kind of Brady bunched and let you click on which one you wanted to watch.
Oh, Andre Mahad. Oh, he just jumped. It looks like he just hit the wall there. And I believe we've been calling him McCawd the whole time. I apologize to him and his family for butchering his name. I will make sure that I get it right next time. So we are now circling around still on lap number 32. Let's take a look back through the field and see what we can see. Find somebody we can give a Wolfgram to.
Kevin Swad just went very wide, come out of turn 9 there. Big time wide. It looked like it went through the grass and came up onto the banking on the NASCAR oval and is heading into 3 and 4 now, the NASCAR 3 and 4. So he's had an adventurous run. He's been right up in the middle of it, and then he's had it come and go.
So one thing we've not mentioned is make sure you go check out. Oh, as I was watching Sirwad, it's just bouncing there again in the turn, over the curbs in turn 1. Go check out iRacing.com if you are new to this service. If you are watching this and you've never seen it before, wow, Sirwad's tires are giving up bad on him. This race couldn't end soon enough for him. Go check out iRacing.com. Sign up for the service. It's an amazing thing. It's a month-to-month situation. You buy the cars that you want, you buy the tracks that you want, and you go racing. This is an open format race league. You can get into private leagues if you like. These leagues are another option for your racing. You can get out there on public servers, but definitely go see what you can see at iRacing.com. I won't dwell on the fact because I know most of the people watching it are already members. as David Serwa circles around with 1 lap to go. This is the white flag for David Serwa.
And just ahead of him there, Timothy Stahl kind of got crossed up and scraped the inside wall, but was able to maintain. That looked like that might get real interesting for a leader for a moment there.
It doesn't look like, of the top couple of positions for each class, doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of tight finishes here, at least at the beginning. A couple of seriously bashed up Mustangs out there. I know there's some Chevrolet owners that are loving that.
Yeah, it does look like all of our leaders are enjoying a pretty good cushion over everyone. And I tell you, like you said, there's been action from one end of this track to the other as our leader is working in through the NASCAR 3 and 4 of the oval, and he's heading toward the checker flags there, Tom.
You are absolutely right, Chuck Johnson, and it looks like David Serwa will take the checkered flag as he crosses the start-finish stripe in the lead, and the winner of round 5 of the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship. David Serwa will certainly do his championship points even better as he finishes ahead of Chris Damron Jr. Chris Damron in second, Kevin Savoy in third, Patrick Spence now in fourth position, Andre McCaud in fifth. All of these guys do a fantastic job, and it looks like the waiting on the leader of the GS class to cross the start-finish line, but it looks like it's going to be Mike Young. But congratulations to David Serwa and his victory in round 5 of the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship. Looks like, yep, the winner of the ST class in the Mazda MX-5 is going to be Colin McLean. Eric Foss is second. Daniel Gralty in third. Mike Kelly rounds out the fourth position. And Mitchell Weirick in fifth. So, that looks like it does it for our race here this evening. We will run through the entire field for you real quick. And then if you'd like, you can definitely go check out israleague.com and take a look at what they have to offer. Perhaps we'll be doing another one of these races before the season ends. But let's run through the final standings here, Chuck. Looks like the top class in the GT Ford V8 Supercars, David Serwa, Chris Damron Jr., Chris Savoy in third, Patrick Spence in fourth, Andre McCaud in fifth, Aldo Villamil in sixth, R.C. Vigas in seventh, Matthew Voigt in eighth, Timothy Stoll in ninth, and I've been calling him Stoll all night. I just remembered it's called Stoll, and Michael Helmick rounds out the top 10 and finishes out the GT class.
All right, starting out here with the Mustangs, I'm going to count it off as their finishing order. Mike Young in the first position, Jim McInnes in the second position, James Mines third, Tim McLeish fourth, Dwight Plesh fifth, R.C. Rigdon at sixth, John Russettos in seventh, and Carl Mumbauer in eighth, Chuck Chambliss in ninth after having a fantastic early run and then catching all kinds of damage here and there. Donald Mines in 10th, Randy Wolfgram in 11th, and that rounds out the front end of the Mustang class.
So, bringing up the third class here, the ST cars, the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. Colin McLean takes the victory in round 5. Eric Foss is in second position. Daniel Gralty in third. Mike Kelly in fourth. Mitchell Weirick in fifth. Alex Uleri in sixth. Ryan Corns in seventh. Kim Aiken in eighth. Daniel Screw it. In that position, Gary Miller in ninth, Dean Ayer in 10th, and Sean Jury in 11th. Some of the guys that didn't finish, Stefan Veens, I think, down there in 12th, Jerry Knitter in 13th. And that rounds out the ST class field. So, I think that does it for our broadcast. Thank you for tuning in to the O'Neill PC Systems ISRA GT Championship. Definitely go check out the standings at israleague.com. It was good to be back with you this race, Chuck. On behalf of the entire PSR TV crew, Ian Bushing, Ilka Hapola, PJ Losi, Chuck Johnson, I am Tom Beatty. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on PSR TV.